Chapter 248. From now on, regardless of how late we might be, our objective is to reach the western border area adjacent to the Great Serene Forest within 3 days. Having verified everyone was mounted and ready, Kishir, at the front of the group, calmly made the declaration, turning to face them. We have chosen the best route based on the information collected by the Paleta Knights, who have been in the west, but unexpected circumstances will undoubtedly arise. This journey will probably be more difficult than any we have encountered thus far, but I trust in all of you. Yes, there was a strange power in the word trust that flowed from Kishir's mouth. Seeing no signs of struggle from anyone, and with their eyes shining in response, Kishir reciprocated with a bright smile. He then flipped the hood of his cloak over his head to obscure his face and raised his hand. Let's set out. All at once, several horses surged towards in a thunderous gallop. The sunlight, just beginning to peek over the horizon, evenly bathed everyone from above. Due to this, Yudhir had a little difficulty noticing that Prince Ajay, riding nearby, was fixating his gaze on Kishir's back. He could not determine what the prince was thinking, but decided to believe that the journey had started well. In the heart of the western part of the Or Empire, Baron Wilhelm, the lord of the city of Tainu, furrowed his brows as he read a letter hastily delivered by a courier from the capital. I may be a mere caretaker of someone else's territory, but even so, as the master of the Wilhelm family, who has long held responsibility for Tainu, Duke Tain's behavior is too much. What's the matter, my lord? In response to the butler's inquiry, Baron Wilhelm voiced his complaint loudly. Duke Paleta sends his newly formed cavalry here, and still they haven't arrived in the west. The Duke continues to berate me about their delay and their whereabouts. Given that their home base is in the capital, wouldn't it be more fitting for the Duke to personally look into this matter? Indeed, how could the Baron, busy as you are with governing Tainu, be expected to keep track of such trivial matters? Despite the butler's placating response, the Baron's mood did not improve. Since the Duke announced that the cavalry, or whatever they are, were departing from the capital to the west and requested me to look after them, it's been nothing but a nuisance. What's the big deal about them coming here to help us? Whether they come here and engage with monsters, whether they die or survive, why should I care? According to Baron Wilhelm's understanding, Duke Tain knew nothing about the West, despite it being his own territory. The tedious task of ruling a vast territory was always left to others, while he himself would invest here and there, constantly issuing orders to release funds and handle the aftermath. Not long ago, due to the preparation for a massive investment trade initiated by Duke Tain, everyone in Tainu was worked to death, unable to focus properly on governing the territory. And yet, the Duke leisurely went to the south to initiate another maritime investment and then returned. Although there was no compensation reaching Wilhelm's hand for his trouble, he was always troubled because of Duke Tain, and thus his feelings towards the Duke's family was quite negative. What's truly important to him is whether the recent monster outbreak will impact his investment points in the Great Serene Forest or not. The cavalry issue is merely something he is bothered with, and he just wants to vent his frustration through me. Baron Wilhelm, who had accurately pinpointed Duke Tain's true intentions, angrily crumpled the letter and threw it away. They haven't found the culprits yet, but once found, they will certainly deal with them. Tell them that we have dispatched a significant number of mages and knights to protect our investment base, the Baron instructed. Understood. The butler picked up the crumpled letter, intending to pen a response on behalf of the Baron. As he read, his eyes momentarily paused at one spot. It was where the name of Duke Paleta was written. But my lord, he ventured cautiously. According to the courier who brought the letter, Duke Paleta, who established this cavalry, has been declared by the Emperor as the new owner of the Divine Sword. Could that really be true? The Divine Sword or? Baron Wilhelm, his voice a low grumble, muttered the name of the sword. He laughed coldly as if dismissing some absurdity. Even though I have never set foot outside of Tenu, I have heard plenty about Duke Paleta. How could a man known for his ineptitude and love for pleasure, who is constantly embroiled in imperial scandals, be the owner of the Divine Sword? Then, obviously, the Emperor made the statement to bolster the imperial prestige. Who would believe such a thing and demand confirmation from Duke Paleta? Would they even show any proof? The Divine Sword isn't something anyone can just touch. Its appearance is hardly known. Whether Duke Paleta was the true owner of the Divine Sword or not, there was nothing to gain from the perspective of the four great dukedoms. Even if Duke Paleta was proven not to be the owner, his reputation would not suffer greatly. On the contrary, if a new owner of the Divine Sword truly emerged from the imperial family, it would increase the Emperor's power and cause headaches. Naturally, it's best to ignore such absurdities. Hence, I'm sure the Duke of Tenu wouldn't mention it in his letter. Only ignorance like you, who still believe in old tales, would be swayed by such news. Indeed, you are wise, my lord. Even from within Tenu, you see the entire continent. The butler bowed deeply, greatly admiring his master's wisdom. Baron Wilhelm seemed slightly appeased by his servant's attitude. It's easy enough to understand if you think about it. Now, what about the Western Mage Union we contacted? I heard they are not being very cooperative with the monster extermination. Aren't mages always like that? Unless a monster appears at their doorstep, they consider it none of their business. Despicable lot. They don't even know they are living comfortably thanks to others. I have mentioned several times how critical the situation is, but they don't budge. It seems they are still resentful about the incident with our soldiers, hence their stubbornness. Still upset about the incident? So now, as a lord, do I have to side with them just because they can use some magic? They all act high and mighty. Baron Wilhelm spat out a curse. He paused, mulled over the issue before a solution came to the mind. All right, then we will have to deal with two matters at once. What do you mean, my lord? Please enlighten this fool as well. Tell those Mage Union bastards that we have decided to get help for this extermination from others, so we no longer need the mages. Also, let them know that we have noted their interest in that so-called magic spring in the Great Serene Forest. The butler was greatly taken aback by the plan. He momentarily fell silent with a worried expression, unusually countering his master's words. Will it be all right? Haven't those individuals been staying in the West this whole time to study it? If they find out it's a lie, they will be extremely angry. How foolish indeed. Even if they belatedly realize it's a lie, by then the handling of the monsters in the Great Serene Forest will be finished. Do they dare to protest against me if they wish to continue their research there? At most, they'll grumble and debate about whether to cooperate, just like they are doing now. If the cavalry members truly came, they were bound to encounter the mages who had been researching in the borderlands and Great Serene Forest at some point. If they misunderstood each other and fought fearlessly, from the viewpoint of Baron Wilhelm, he could sit back and watch without lifting a finger. It would be even better if they can help with the monster extermination while they are at it. He had no expectations of the cavalry members. He was also completely unaware that Duke Paleta had already entered the West, not being in the capital currently. Even if he had known beforehand, the Baron's decision wouldn't have significantly changed. Things were going smoothly according to his will. The mages of the Western Mage Union, who had secretly assessed the incorrect information spread by the Baron that day, were extremely angry as expected, and their leader, Michelin Punt, unable to contain his fiery temperament, headed straight to Great Serene Forest. Among the mages, there were those like Thais Yulman who only harbored curiosity for the Awakeners, but there were also many who had a sense of caution, fearing that their future positions might be taken away. Michelin was a faction that disliked the Awakeners more than anyone else. So the mage bastards have finally made a move. Everything is going well. We don't even have to use our own forces, and this extermination will more or less be resolved. Baron Wilhelm laughed heartily, feeling as if a thorn in his side has been removed. It was a laughter he would not have indulged in if he had known how his trap would unfold. I think I can see Great Serene Forest in the distance. During a short break, Gakane, who could share his sight with his shadow clone, mumbled with his eyes closed, having sent it out for reconnaissance far in advance. I see a forest that looks like green waves from afar. Once we reach the next village, we will be right there. How about the monsters? Do you see any? Not yet. Ah, but should I stop now? When Kana asked, Gakane answered and then opened his eyes. The shadow that had disappeared beneath his feet reappeared. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and then let out a long sigh. Phew, it's not easy distributing my energy. Still, you're developing much faster than when we were in the academy, since you're using it constantly in real situations. Yudir offered words of praise to Gakane, whose eyes were tired. You kept it going much longer than yesterday. Really? You think so? Gakane, whose face brightened as if he hadn't been tired, smiled widely. I'm relieved. I feel like I'm pulling my weight. I was really worried before we came here. Although he was doing his part regardless of what anyone said, he didn't think so himself. Despite appearing cheerful because of his frequent hearty laughs, Yudir knew Gakane had an immense desire for improvement and perseverance within him. Once this mission is over, he will be useful anywhere. Then, maybe I should ask him if he wants to work directly under me.